Welcome back everyone to Over the Hill Acres. We got a little project to do today. Hopefully this is the issue. I was having a small problem with my tractor last night. I fired it up. We had blowing smoke after 2,000 RPMs and I was getting ready to do some brush hogging. I believe we have a fuel filter issue. So I picked one up today. Come along and we'll go see if that's the problem. So last night I hooked up my brush hog and attempted to go do some brush hogging. I got to do some work for my son this weekend. And when I brought the tractor up to RPMs right around 2,000 or so, it just started smoking like crazy. Blown white smoke. I'd run it up to about the 2350 mark where the PTO is supposed to run, and it just smoked everywhere. It wouldn't hold the RPMs. It'd go back down to around 2 grand. So I got on the phone, gave my son-in-law a call. He's a diesel mechanic, very talented one in fact. So he told me the first thing to check is change the fuel filter. So here we are. We're going to change the fuel filter on this beast. The fuel filter on this little tractor, and I am really surprised, is just this thing. There's no spin-on, there's no bigger filters. It's the only one, and it was plugged. So let's get this put on and see if this was our problem. Now when I took the old one off, yep, there it is. That ring is still on there. It came apart. So here we go. Yeah, always make sure you got things like that out of there. So that other fuel filter came apart. And if I wouldn't have realized that, because I checked the other filter over real well, I never would have knew. And when I put it back together, it would have made one heck of a mess. So let's get the new one in here and go from there. Now there's a spring in the bottom of this. It needs to be sitting on there just right. There we go. There's a little O-ring inside of this filter. this. It's kind of tight in here. There's barely any way to get both hands in here. There's a rubber hose right underneath the bottom of it that you have to kind of push out of the way. Yep, gotta make sure that seal stays on there. Ooh, this may be a little tough. Because you can't remove that rubber hose because it belongs to the oil filter. Alright. Now, there she is. Oh, but, of course. And then spin that ring back up on there. Alright. So that should take care of that. Okay. This is the fuel filter housing, and that little fuel filter goes inside there. This ring on top spins and tightens. You have to make sure that is very tight, but not more than hand tight is not unnecessary, but it needs to be snug. Now then there's this little shut-off valve here. You spin this back around here, and it should fill with fuel. Now I'm going to give it just a second here. We're going to fire this up and see how she works. I need to blow out my radiator too. I see there's a little bit of dust and hay chaff in there. I'll be going to do some brush hogging this weekend for my son if this took care of that problem. Okay, let's fire this thing up and see what happens. Sorry, I had to put you down a second. It takes both hands to start it. We'll let her idle just a few minutes here. Make sure the fuel's circulating before we give her throttle and see what happens. We'll let it warm up. It needs a bath. When I get done with this job this weekend, I'll probably pressure wash it and give it a good grease job. Well, I believe that was the problem. It it wouldn't go any higher than 2,000 RPMs yesterday without just blowing white smoke everywhere. That fuel filter was plugged. I should have took a picture in the video of that to show you how bad it looked, and that's my own fault. I've got over 400 hours on it since the last service. I should have checked that fuel filter. As small as that is, that thing should be replaced every year, and that was about 2 years ago that it was replaced, so I'll take full blame on that. This is one of the nice options of this tractor, is the fuel tank is low. There's no picking cans way up on the hood or up on the back. The older you get, the more thankful you are for things like this. Now this tank will hold 9 gallons. I can run all weekend pretty much on 9 gallons. It's not the greatest on fuel, but it's definitely not the worst. It'd probably, if I was to run full throttle all day, I'd go through a tank in about 8 hours. Well, I got about 3/4 of the tank in here now. That'll last me all weekend. Alright, we're going to fire this up and run it quick, and then I'm going to give my buddy a call, and he's going to come over and load this up with his trailer and take it over to my son's house for me. I would use my truck, but I got to put universals in it. I did find out where that squeak's coming from, or all the racket in the rear end. I got a rear universal that's going. So for those of you that seen the last video of me taking apart the brake, that was part of the problem, but the rest of the problem is the universals. I'll change those tomorrow evening. So we'll go from there. Happy to report that it was just that fuel filter. The tractor is running as smooth as it ever has. I gotta make sure that I change that. I made a comment in the video that it was over 400 hours since the last service. That is false. I service my motorized equipment every 200 hours, regardless of what maintenance schedule calls for. It's just the way I've been brought up. I know with all these new oils and stuff, you can go longer. 200 hours is a good mark for me, so everything gets changed. The last time I went and got my filters, they gave me the wrong fuel filter. Didn't realize until I got home, so I changed the oils and hydraulic filter on it and went from there. Figured I'll get another fuel filter and get it changed. Well, of course, one thing led to another. That never happened, and this is what happened. So in about 50 hours, it's due for a new oil change. When that happens, I will also put a new fuel filter in it, and then I'll be safe for the winter time. Fuel filter is one of the biggest culprits, problems with your diesel engines. You got to make sure they're changed on a regular basis and follow your maintenance schedule. Sooner is always better, if you can afford to. I'm from the old school. I don't follow guidelines for these new oils that you can run for 500 to 1,000 hours. That's not, I just don't see it. I'd rather spend the money, take the chance of spending a little extra than trying to save a few pennies and letting it stretch out. We always change our oils at 200 to 300 hours, and I'm going to keep doing that. I feel comfortable with that. Teach their own, though. I mean, I know the oils are better and stuff, but that's just the way I was brought up. So we'll go with that schedule, and that'll keep me happy. As long as it keeps me happy with my equipment, that's fine. What everyone does with their own equipment, that's up to them also. And I don't knock them for it, because things nowadays can run longer in between changes, and everybody has their own opinion on that. So I thank you for watching, and if you feel this was a fairly decent video, please give me a like, thumbs up, and hit subscribe if you want to follow along. We got some more stuff going on here soon. As I finish up this video, my tractor is on its way to my son's house. I got some work to do over there. I will not get a chance to video that. There's going to be too much going on, but I have my next video coming up. I believe we're going to be working on my Ram 2500 again. It needs universal joints, so come join us for that.